hands in the water, take a drink from the stream, lay your back on the banks, yeah, and baby dream a dream. They say that brooks they babble, yeah, they babble on. What does a river tell you? Tell you to move along. What does the river ask you? Or does it sing a song? Honey, open your eyes before I'm gone. Come on, open your eyes. You'll see the world has changed. We've gone from silent spring, yeah, into a whole new age.
Tanoyap and Sequatals, Ias Chop Tanoyap, Taylor George Hollis, Queen Sna, Tanachin Pla, Squahomish Oath, Aslahan Okomeo, Eilchtan Sequatals. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to see each and every one of you here this evening. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the Coast Salish and unceded territories of the Squamish peoples. We are in between the villages of Komolchtin, Oslahan, where I come from, which is also known as the Mission Reserve, and also Chechilqueo, which is Seymour. But to follow the protocols of our people, I would like to share a song with you, and I've invited my dear friend Eddie to join along. Thank you. Sorry. Cooksain chit lolam ti hot paquio slolam, Nate sequalia slolam. So the song we'll sing is called The Greeting of the Day, and it was composed by our dear Auntie Sequalia. And in the olden days, she was a powerful Squamish woman who kept the song alive for our young ones to dance to today, to give thanks to the Creator, Chachahanak, Tachai Squawkum Squile, Wake Ochton, giving thanks for this beautiful day. ACM.
Most about Claire have been your dedication, your passion to a vision not just for this election but beyond that, and I find that exciting. It's not just about winning one election, it's about affecting real change. And more importantly, the energy she brings. I can't tell you how funny it is to see her shrug off comments which often I see her smile instead of going right at the person for different points of views. And it's incredible to see the smile come out, and you know that she has all the information in her back pocket, but she has an empathy and a willingness to listen, and I think that's what's going to make her truly a great politician. And I'd like to present to you now our next candidate, our next representative for North Vancouver, Claire Martin. That'll help you win in North Van.
I know. I've actually written a speech. I never write speeches, but I've written a speech because I want to be vaguely coherent, but I also want to sort of lay down a bit of a story here. And normally I shoot from the hip, This time it's not worth, I can't do the shooting from the hip. I don't want to forget stuff. I want to engage you, and I want to talk about certain aspects that I think are really important. And I also want to say, and this will probably go straight above your head, but happy birthday, anniversary, 30th. I don't know whether you were there, I was, to Live Aid, this day, 1985. And I'm going to put that in the back of your mind, because I'm going to come back to it. It's a really big deal to me. Okay, so I see a ton of friendly faces out there in the audience. I see some people that I do know, some people that I don't know. I've got to thank my EDA and Dagan, because I honestly couldn't do this without you, and I'm going to get emotional, so I'll just shut up at that point. But thank you. Thank you for coming out. I came to Canada as an immigrant in 1989. I was alone. I didn't have an awful lot going for me. I joined Environment Canada. My first boss is here. Where's Brian? I see him right there. Brian O'Donnell, who has stood by me for nearly 30 years now. There we go. Right there you are. Through from Alberta to BC to Geneva and back. Yeah, so this is back in the 80s when we first met, or early 90s. I actually had come to Vancouver prior to Expo in 1986. Do you remember Expo? Do you remember the fun that was? The fireworks, the food. Do you remember the logo? It was it was an 8 and a 6, but there were sort of 3 interconnected circles. And the theme of Expo was about transportation and communication. But more importantly, those interconnected circles, it was an 8 and a 6 with the sort of line going off the top, was supposed to mean land, sea, and air. It was the mode of transportation that Expo thought they were bringing, the monorail, which by now apparently is in Acton, for the Brits out there. Apparently Acton bought our monorail, but whatever. But the logo really struck me back then when I came out as a visitor, because it was the land and the sea and the air that really captured Canada for me. The land, I mean, to this day, when my plane arrives, I always get a window seat, and normally the person sitting next to me says, "Are you frightened of flying, sweetie?" Because I'm staring out the window. And it's like, no, but look at that view. I never get tired of it. I've flown around the world, and there is nowhere as beautiful as coming into YVR. The sea is spectacular. And you have to remember, I came from London, England, and we were already on metered water, household use in that point when I left England. So when I came out here, this ocean, this blue, clean ocean of water that you weren't metering, and you should have been, quite frankly. It just was fabulous. And then, of course, the air. Whoa, see? It's like God and I, like this. I've tried explaining to people what gulping fresh air is like, and until you arrive in Canada, and especially in Vancouver, and you get that smell of salt, clean air. I was in China a couple of years ago. I was teaching out there, and I've never been more aware of how precious our air is until I landed here. And again, I got emotional. You take it in almost like a drug. You can't get enough. So the land and the sea and the air completely grabbed me, and of course I decided to emigrate. This is, as I said, back in '86 when I came out here, and then in '89 when I emigrated. I spent 6 years, thank you Brian, as a relief meteorologist with Environment Canada. I went all the way, well, I don't know what I did wrong, but I went all the way up to the Dew line with the military, which, when you are a Londoner, wow, there's not that many people on the Dew line. Holy cow, it's quiet up here. I went into Alberta, I went into the Yukon, I went into BC, but I fell in love with this country. While in Edmonton, which is where I was sort of brought back to when they felt sorry for me after too many months in isolation, I decided to leave Environment Canada and move into television. Cut a long story short, essentially I was sick and tired of people taking a scientific story and mushing it up. I'd spent 8 to 10 hours a night writing a pretty decent forecast, which by the time I was in my car coming home after the night shift, somebody would just rip and read it. Oh, showers tomorrow. And I'd think, really? I didn't write that. And I got so incensed at how the public wasn't being served that I decided, screw that, I can do that better. And that again will be theme number 2. So remember that, theme number 2, where you get mad at people not delivering the message properly. So I decided to get into TV, which was funny in itself. That being said, I actually did okay at it. I managed to climb the sort of weather service ladder, ended up at the CBC, working with a wonderful gentleman who you might know, Mr. Mansbridge, who I will say right here and now, I did not have an affair with Mr. On the flagship newscast, The National, 1.2 million viewers tonight.
Could that be your campaign slogan?
That should be my campaign slogan, thank you. I did not have an affair. Queens. It was funny because Peter's title is Chief Correspondent, and after about 8 years, I finally thought I had earned a promotion. And I went to the bosses at HR and I said, I'd really like to have a designation added to my title. I'd like Chief Meteorologist. And they said, yeah, no, that puts you up with Mansbridge. We'll give you Senior Which Peter mocked me for relentlessly. He'd come on set like, here's our Senior Meteorologist. Thanks, Peter. But anyway, I had a wonderful time at the CBC. But while I was there, I was also working, and many of you might not know this, for the UN. I worked for a specialized agency called the World Meteorological Organization. And I was lucky enough to be part of a team, term used loosely, but it was an expert team on public weather service and communications. And it was our job to deliver messages down the food chain, which we assumed weather services across the world would then pass on to sort of the general public. And it was an incredibly rewarding time. I loved my time at the UN, but it was also very frustrating because after a while I realized the message isn't being delivered. It's not, people don't understand. And I had one of those Oprah awful aha moments when I realized it's not that we're doing it wrong, it's the fact that people like me are not delivering the message to the right people. And it dawned on me that I had to start talking to politicians, because politicians have to connect with people and deliver a message and win over an audience. So I actually quit the UN and decided that I was going to start nagging politicians. I really felt it was a time that I could get an important message done in a way that connected with an audience. Funnily enough, I kid you not, within about a month of quitting the UN, which is some of the most wonderful work I've ever done. So I was missing something. I got an email and a phone call from a certain Ms. May. Now, I don't know if you here have a personal relationship with Ms. May, but let me tell you something about her. Ms. May is a right royal pain in the ass. When she has an idea, she is like a dog with a bone. I was said bone, she was said dog. And she had decided that I could serve Canada better by joining the Green Party. And it took us a while to meet at a path when we thought we could do this. Thank God I listened to you. Absolutely thank God. And this is why I'm here now. No, you mad, I don't want to be a politician. I told her what I thought needed to be brought back into politics. I said that there's not enough respect in governance. In fact, I'm appalled to this day at what I see sometimes in question period. I told her that I didn't feel there was enough compassion and awareness for the culture that exists in Canada. I told her that we weren't really a unified democratic country and all of that had to change, and she pretty much applauded. And here I am, standing before you right now, as a somewhat reluctant, but getting into it, politician, But I want to go back to the very beginning, because all good stories start at the beginning and they're circular. And I said to you, I didn't want to start this without a written script, which apparently I'm not even watching. Oh, yeah. I'm terrible at this. I've got to learn to take my notes better. But today is the 30th anniversary of Live Aid. And I don't know where you were on Live Aid, but I was on a pitch in Wembley, taking part in something that I thought was really important. I really thought, God, I'm emotional. I really thought that music and people could change the world. And look where I am 30 years to the day later, because you know what? People can change the world, and we can make a difference. And suddenly a green vote is no longer a throwaway vote. It is a valid, valuable vote. So I'm standing here in front of you saying, I need your help. I need your support. I also, quite frankly, need your money. That'll come later. I'm asking you this October to vote. Vote feeling empowered, and vote feeling good about yourself. And with a little help, vote green. Thank you very much.